Welcome to the May 5th CTAT RoundTable. I always tell everyone that Thursdays are my favorite day because one day a month I get Next Gen, and the other day, another day out of the month I get to visit with all you guys on the roundtable. And so I really enjoy it. I take baths, as Robin's always told you, and I brush my teeth, and it's my day to really prep up. So I appreciate you guys being here, and I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen, and we'll get a see if we can. Robin, can you see that screen okay? Excellent. Well, again, thank you guys for all being here. And this is statewide roundtable, and I remember to push the record button. And these sessions are Zoom based, and we always record them and put them on media platforms, and this will go on YouTube. So if for some reason you do not wish to have your picture displayed in public view, you may wish to turn your video off. Otherwise, your participation serves as consent to post this picture via Zoom frame in YouTube. I know that many of you keep up with my social life, and I have a big night planned on May 17th, and I'm going to go see Paul McCartney at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. Now, I'm looking forward to that, and I hope he makes it. I think he's 92, but I'm sure he'll be there, and I've read some online stuff, so he's done good shows. But if you haven't seen the Get Back, it's worth it. And of course, May 5th is Cinco de Mayo. It's an early celebration on May 5th, commemorates the anniversary of Mexico's victory over the Second French Empire in 1862. So that's always a fun day. Lots of schools celebrate it. I hope you're having good Cinco de Mayo. Also, May 5th in 1961 was the day that the first American went to space. Alan Shepard went in the Freedom 7 and spent just about 15 minutes in space to be the first American. Yuri Gagarin was the first man in space from Russia, but Alan Shepard was the first American. And Alan Shepard holds another important point in history, in that he was the only man to ever play golf on the moon in Apollo 14. There's also, if you look on the internet, there are lots of strange pictures that come out in astronauts, and I'm not sure who this Hoy Clagwell guy is, but he's kind of awkward. And there's lots of awkward astronaut pictures on the internet, and you can see here that even Kitty gets in the act, and seems like anybody can get their picture made, even though Caleb the dog. And probably the funniest one I've seen was this one. You know, I don't know what kind of creature that is, but it's obviously alien. But like CTAT and like the astronauts in space, they all have to work together to accomplish missions. And that's what these CTAT roundtable discussions are about. All of us working together, because we know that you learn best from each other. And we were talking about the summer conference today, and what are others doing that are working, and that's what it's all about. That's what you really want to know. We have some quick updates about the programming. Of course, we're still doing the Next Gen administrators, and if you didn't get in this session, then we'll start the next one on September of 2022. Of course, we'll continue to have the roundtable. We've got the summer conference coming up, and also program evaluations. We're all caught up till August. So if you'd like an August program evaluation, you can shoot me an email, mark@ctat.org. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, you can go on there and click that little bell, and it'll tell you whenever we post a video, such as these roundtable sessions. And make sure that you're participating in the CTAT Connect CTAT Open Forum. It's a great place to get some great ideas, and especially when I'm seeing a lot of people use it for are curriculum ideas. What curriculum are you using for X class or Y class? That seems to be a valuable use for it. Make sure, if you haven't, to sign up for the CTE newsletters that are on the TEA website. Also, if you haven't, make sure that you register for the summer 2022 conference that will be held in Fort Worth, July 18th through the 21st. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone and I think it's going to be a very, very beneficial conference. We are very heavy on presentations, but for administrators, what we're really looking for, and I know the deadline's passed, but if you have a good presentation or a great solution to a teacher problem, we're still looking for some presentations for teachers that are coming to summer conference. So we will take some additional presentations, but we prefer that they be presentations for teachers. What makes a great lesson? How do you get a CTSO started? Anything that would benefit a teacher in enhancing their program, please feel free to go ahead and submit those if you have some good teacher presentations. Also, don't forget, if you have some law teachers and they're looking for a conference to go to, I think that the CTAT Law and Public Service Conference is going to be in New Braunfels, June 20th through the 23rd, will be an excellent option for them. I know that there are some exciting sessions planned, and also we're going to have some state champion Skills USA people there training on the state in the Skills USA contest as it relates to law. So you can pass that around to your law teachers if you want to. Now, PT is, of course, your CTAT president. And PT, if you don't mind taking over for a few minutes, you said you had some words.
Yeah. Yes, sir. How do I take over the screen or just
hang on a second. Are you going to take over the screen?
You got it. So, I just wanted to remind everybody that CLNA is due tomorrow. I know that it's the tail end of that, but anyway, also it's end of year. I know that people have got things that are going on left and right, whether it be budgets to banquets to Perkins coming up, playoffs, graduation, hiring, and more hiring. And anyway, hang in there. And truthfully, you've got this, as a team, we, like what he was saying, we are together. And if y'all need anything, be sure and give us a holler. So we'll be there for you. It's about all, Mark.
Thank you, PT. And I know that for those of you coming to summer conference, PT will speak there, and we're all looking forward to that. And PT, we really appreciate your leadership. It's very meaningful. We've had some of the best officers I've ever seen in 20 years of CTAT participation. I think our officer crews just get better and better, and we appreciate all you guys.
We've got a good board and good crew and good staff as well. Thank you all.
Also, Amanda Shaws and Jessica Law. Amanda's at New Braunfels and Jessica's at Grapevine. They're doing a fantastic job in heading up this ARD handbook group. And they have already put together a Google Drive with materials in it for the people that represent the students and ARD committees. And so when you open up that Google Drive, there's a ton of great information in there that when you're sitting there and you're working in the ARD meeting, you can use these documents to enhance your participation in an ARD meeting. And it's really about benefiting those students, those special ed students, and getting them in the right place and what's the most beneficial to them in our CTE programs. Also, a couple of things from last time. There's been a few minor technical changes in the Chapter 231 requirements for school personnel, but it's just minor changes. That's changes in subchapter letters, nothing major that I saw. Also, the weighted tier funding tables are out. And don't forget that this week, if you haven't done anything, you might take a little time tomorrow, because this week is Teacher Appreciation Week. And I put in the CTAT chat, probably one of the most meaningful things that a teacher can get is a simple note, a handwritten note or an email, some type of recognition, or just a thank you. And so that may be one of the most important things you can do. Send that teacher a note and let them know that you appreciate what they're doing. Also, something that's fairly important is from TEA performance reporting. I copied this out of an email that they sent out. It looks like that the programs of study CCMR indicator will be postponed until 2023 with the entire accountability reset. And in their newsletter, they said that they are working to collect data and advice from stakeholders to how to implement that CCMR indicator. And I know that Donna's on here, and we may get her to speak here in a minute to what the APAC committee has done. Also from the grants administration, you can see there's a couple of deadlines there, and this was all in the CTAT chat, but the Perkins grant is due on June 5th, 2022. Like PT said, your CLA is due on May 6th, and then your ADC, your applicant designation and certification form, is due on May 11th. Or will open on May 11th. It's not due on May 11th. So you can fill out that applicant designee form beginning May 11th. Also, several of you have emailed me, and if for some reason your district needs, if your district needs to, your business office wants the FTEs by tiers, then we have a way to sort the CTAT spreadsheet to get you some totals by tiers. So just let me know, email me if you want that amended version of the spreadsheet. One of the things that I tell everybody, when you do get the spreadsheet, you have to have this column sorted by tier or it won't work right. And like Sammy was telling us back in EduThings, I know that Sammy's just got back from a big trip, but he's telling us that in the districts that have EduThings, in that sample size, that 27% of the districts are seeing gain in weighted funding of about 3%, and 73% of the districts are seeing a slight loss in funding of about 5%. I do anticipate this evening out as we have more years under these rules, because more advanced courses will be taught because they get more funding. So I think you'll see more districts with a gain than a loss in years to come. Also, and Robin may want to talk about this a little bit more, but CTAT, through the area presidents meeting, they were wanting to really get in there and train with business officials. And so Robin, working with her contacts at TASBO, has put together some trainings, and it looks like that we're going to do a major training on PEIMS reports, on the new PEIMS reports at summer conference. And then next year, we're going to do 3 regional presentations with TASBO, and where CTE directors and business officers attend the same training and they learn some best practices. And so preliminary talks, there'll be one in DFW, one in Austin, and one in Houston. And of course, that's all preliminary. There's another planning meeting to discuss content tomorrow. So we'll keep you posted on that. And again, that was all based on area presidents providing feedback to the association. And so I'm going to stop sharing and get back in here into the gallery mode. And guys, up to you. Robin, did you want to say anything about the TASBO?
Now, y'all, Mark's being modest. He is heavily involved in designing this training and exactly what content needs to be included for your favorite CFO and PEIMS coordinators and even counselors. So we owe a lot to Mark for helping lead that effort. You know, we did get a couple posts here in the chat already. These folks are wanting links to the resources you mentioned in the opening, like the ARD handbook, the tiered spreadsheet, both of those. While they talk, maybe we can get our hands on those links and post them in there.
I was talking away. I just posted the link to the ARD Google Drive, the shared Google Drive, and that's in there now. And in just a minute, I will post a link to the tiered funding spreadsheet. Anyone have any questions or comments? There we go. I got some messages saying that the links didn't work. Now they work. Robin, can you still hear me there?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, what other topics do we have that someone would like to get into? Is Kyle, if Kyle Horton's on here,
He's here. He's sitting behind me. Hang on.
Kyle, do you mind asking your question about the educational aid certificate?
Absolutely. We are in the process of filling out the TIL accounts and getting the students going with that. But right now, my snag is the fingerprinting and I'm afraid if we graduate and we don't get them fingerprinted that we're going to lose them. What are y'all doing, or what are y'all doing to get the fingerprinting done? And is there a way to get it done on a fast track?
I'll share what we're doing, Kyle. We've worked with HR and they are creating all the appointments for us and actually get fingerprinted before you're 18. They can go ahead and get the fingerprinting done during the school year. And then if they're not 18 till over the summer, they can do the TIL account part in the summer. And so that's what's working for us. We're going to put them all on a bus and take them all over at one time and get fingerprinting done.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be good. I've got 20 students that are eligible for it, and 14 of them are already 18. And so we want to push that through before they graduate.
If I can share also, we're doing the same thing at UISD. We have 4 high school campuses, and we're processing the students that passed the instructional practices in the fall. And so far, yes, we did the applications together. We were able to use our district credit card, which that was new for us this year. But what it doesn't show you in the TEA screenshots is that aside from the $17 for the application and then the $40, I believe that is for the fingerprinting process, there's an additional $10 that the students have to pay when they do their fingerprinting, their actual processing at like Identigo. And what our teachers also doing is they're scheduling, since the code or the voucher for the fingerprinting process is sent instantly. Once they submit their application, they get that voucher. They're also making the appointment together as a class so that they can get the same appointments in the morning and bus them the same way. But we're in the middle of that process, learning, the little kinks along the way. But so far, so good.
Yeah, that's us. This is our first year trying to get it done, and it's just little kinks here and there, little hiccups that we're trying to work through.
And the screenshots that they have shared, there's a lot of little steps that are pending. So it's a learning curve at the beginning of what do I click now. So it's missing some of the screenshots for the specific steps that the students need to follow.
All right, thank y'all.
Does
Ms.
anybody?
Montgomery? Go ahead,
Sorry,
Kelly.
I'm sorry. What campus, what districts are you with?
Are you talking? We're from Marble Falls. I don't know about the other 2 ladies that spoke.
Claudia and Alex. Do we know what district they're with? Our HR department, I want to get my HR department with your HR department.
Absolutely.
I work for UISD. We have 4 high schools. And it was a process. At first, they weren't allowing the district credit card, but this time around, we were able to get it done. But it is like, for example, I went Monday and Wednesday to one of the campuses because some students were missing something, and then you have to come back. So I have to be there to help them process it because I'm inputting the information for them, and then to show up that day to Identigo to be able to pay for the $10 for each student. So it is a little bit extra to do, but it's the kids are actually very much invested in it. They really want to process it. So that's exciting.
Jacob, it's United ISD in Laredo. That's what UISD is. United ISD in Laredo.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
Angie. That's my boss right there.
Yeah, and her name is not Claudia Gonzalez. There's not 2 Claudia Gonzalez in this one, right?
And I'm from New Caney ISD.
Thank you all. Ms. Bonds, at one time, didn't you post in Connect CTAT a chart that explained how to go through and do everything, a one sheet deal?
That would have been Lucy Sanchez maybe from our team, and I
Yeah.
think Lucy's on the call. She posted in the chat. Thanks so much for the fingertip pointers. But Lucy, do you have something that you might be able to share with everybody?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, no, the fingerprinting tips that I heard earlier was great, getting them done ahead of time. I didn't know we could do that. I'll certainly be going back to our HR department and asking about that because I'd love that. This will be our third summer going into this particular process. The first year we got 7 kids over the finish line. Last year we got 14. This year, I think we're going to get nearly 30, 25 or 30. So it's pretty exciting stuff. It is quite a balancing act working between your students, your teachers, and HR. I put together a slide deck for the teachers to present to the students ahead of time. The kids cannot set up their Teal account until they're 18 years old, full stop. And if they don't have a state issue ID, full stop. I mean, that's bottom line what the kids have to have. But if the teachers work with the kids as a class and really ask them to slow down, because, you know, even as adults, setting up these kinds of complex accounts, it's easy to click the wrong thing and do, you know, mess up here or there. And the typical mess ups are kids try to create an account before they're 18, or they don't have a state issue ID. But once they go in, log out, and get their Teal number, then it's just a matter of going in and asking for that application. HR watches that. They know our timeline, and we work on a shared sheets between reps from HR and ourselves, and we get it all done within like 3 or 4 days. So it's a juggling thing, but the fingerprints was a bit of a tripping point. So I was really super happy to hear some of those other parts. I'm not sure what I can share at this point. I do have a slide deck, you know, but I'm sure y'all do too. And then I do give a step-by-step to our staff and HR so they know the timeline. And that's kind of what we do.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Kyle and I were visiting on the phone yesterday, and it's one of those things. Once you do it, get that first group through, then you're clear sailing, or it's a lot easier the next group. So that's fantastic. Anyone else have anything to add for the educational aid certificate? And Heather, did everything get posted in the chat? You were asking for something to be posted. Did everything?
Well, somebody mentioned, I think it was, I don't remember. Somebody mentioned that somebody had a whole like to-do list to put all that through. And so I wondered if they could post that in the forum and then we could get it there. But
And I think that was my fault. For some reason, I was thinking Round Rock had that.
I think Round Rock said that it was somebody else. I think
Right.
Sherry did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Lucy, right. Let's not try to rely on my memory too heavily. All right, we had another question in the chat about any updates for the IBC list. And Donna, are you in here anywhere? Donna McKethan? I haven't seen Donna. I haven't seen her name, but
I don't see her. I just searched the participant list.
well, I can tell you what they said, and I'm going to reach a little bit here, but and I'm on a listserv from accountability, A2F accountability, and you guys can get on it too, and I encourage you. But what it basically said was that they're going to push making a decision on how to implement a point for program, or how to implement program of study into the A through F accountability system until 2023. And they talked about the 2023 reset. So I'm extrapolating from that we won't get a new IBC list until that time as well. I don't know that 100%, but I'm making that projection. And some of you guys, Katie or PT or that are on the TEA leadership committee, have you guys heard anything about that?
We're
Thought they were
currently
supposed to-
reviewing them right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Say that.
They're reviewing them right now. And I know that I'm on the review committee. I haven't done any yet, but anyway, that is supposed to come out, I believe, this summer, I thought. That's my understanding. So
Mark,
ahead.
the IBC list and the A through F accountability for completer are two completely separate things, sitting with different committees.
Right. And I knew they were different. I just thought that they might roll out everything at one time. So thank you, guys. So Katie and PT, y'all are expecting it out this summer?
Yeah,
yes.
we have to review by the 27th of this month, give final review. They've got several different groups looking at them, and then they're supposed to take them from that point, collaborate together and take them for approval. Correct, PT, or Lisa, I think you are doing it too as well.
Yes, that's correct. So the process had to change. That came through the legislature, that the Texas Workforce Commission, it's now a tri-agency look at this. And so there are groups of people that have been signed to run them. They've already taken all of them. It's a multi-step process. They've already gone through step 1 and step 2. They're now on to things that have made it through step 2 and are now being reviewed by different people through rubrics. And then once they find who they move forward, then they have to put together the final list in which vendors will be approved. I'm thinking it's going to be probably late June before it comes out, but we don't have a hard date.
That's good info. PT,
The one thing I will
go
say,
ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mark. One thing that was a little bit different than what was originally heard, because originally I think a lot of us thought that it was only new ones that were being evaluated. It is all that are being evaluated. So, just kind of a recommendation for a best practice. It may not be the best plan to lock yourself into a contract with anybody for next year until you see that list come out and you know that the vendor is an approved vendor and it's an approved IBC. It's just because it was in the past does not necessarily mean it is going forward.
Any big surprises you guys see coming?
Well, I wanted to share that we just got kind of a big surprise for us. We do a lot of OSHA 30 general. We do it a lot in different classes, that we can apply it in. And we got some errors because the outreach trainer that we were using, was a code 230 for the vendor, was removed. And it is like on the approved Excel sheet, it's no longer there, but the one pager that's on the IBCs, it's not active. So that previous one-page certification would show the link to where and how it talked about the outreach trainer, that they could get certified, the places that would get certified, and that's no longer valid. So if any of you all are using that outreach trainer and not necessarily going through the different vendors, it's a big difference. The vendors cost about close to $200 per child, and the outreach trainer, they just pay for the card. So that was a pretty big deal for us because one campus, I think, had like maybe 100 close to 150, maybe over 100 students that were certified with that OSHA 30 general. And that was an error that we received just last week.
How did you fix the error? Did you just change the vendor to other, or are you still working on it?
We did put it as other and it rejected it. So there is no fixing. We lost those points.
Oh my gosh. Did you talk to TEA about that?
Yes, we've been in touch with TEA back and forth, and it seems like they don't want to, they're not going to work with us in that sense for this year at least.
Mm.
Yeah. So if any of you all have that situation, you might want to look into it because it is a pretty big deal for us. We did have a lot of kids that were getting certified in that area.
That's a pretty big blow. That'd be a big blow for any district.
Mark, who would we contact on that? Because that's going to impact us as well. And something in the past 2 years that we've always under TEA direction put other because we were doing in-house certification. So, that's something that, it's an industry recognized card. So I don't understand why it wouldn't be good to certify them in-house rather than paying $200 a kid to do it. So
We can get you, let me get you the name of the person that we've been emailing. We've been calling to. Our teacher has also been advocating, explaining to how the modules that they serve through the online vendors are really, you can't compare it to the instruction that the outreach trainer is giving. They're actually teaching them and doing hands-on, and it's the quality of the instruction that they're receiving is so much better than what those modules give to the students. So it makes no sense. So I think we just need to keep advocating for it because I think it's going to be a big hit for a lot of people. Let me get you the name of the I think it's a lady that we've been in communication with.
It should be Lacey Freeman. Is that it?
And I posted that into the chat.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. Lacey Berman.
And that she's usually very easy to work with. So
No, basically the response we got was it was no longer on that long Excel sheet with the vendors. It's no longer there. So I think that's the way we're supposed to know. If it's not there anymore, we can't use it, but it's a pretty lengthy sheet to notice every single change. But it's interesting because you go back and look for that one pager and the link is not active. You can no longer click on it. So I don't know.
well, I was thinking that's why they had the other, but obviously not.
And the one pager had where you can certify, you can send someone to be an instructor. And so that's what we did. And then we actually hired somebody who was an OSHA trainer already and didn't accept it. So that's where we got hit.
Well, anybody have a story that would relate to that, would help or to emphasize? Mark, what sort of, were y'all using OSHA 32 and outreach trainer?
yeah, we've in-house certified every industrial teacher we've got. So that's going to be a big blow to us too. Hopefully it's an oversight error and not something that's.
That's what I was hoping. I thought maybe they didn't understand that, or they didn't know that, we were able to do the in-house, but they just said if it's not there, those are the only 3 entities we can use.
Yeah, and I'm saying this to kind of be funny, but the old rule about talking to TEA, if you didn't get the answer you liked the first time, call back. But that was just being funny.
Actually, we did that like 5, 6 times.
Did this happen recently,
This
Last
past
week.
This past week.
Angie? Did
Yep.
this happen recently?
Yep, last week, and we had to go. Luckily, we went. I mean, we went back to every kid, and we still had some points here and there, but still, I mean, the ultimate is that the student gets certified. So the industry is still going to recognize it. It's unfortunate that TEA is not. So.
Well, and it's a bad time of year to be making any changes to our website when, even, after in January, February, when a lot of teachers have already started, working with kids in spring. So this is a very disappointing, we're not doing the 30, but it's disappointing to hear that if that's happening, especially with that one, when the industry is saying, yes, we'll take it. And anyway.
Curious, are there any others out there that y'all know of they're doing that too?
David, if you are submitting any of those and you don't get that fatal, now we put the 230 and it's accepting it because the system is still accepting it. But I'm assuming it's a she, I'm not sure who Lacey is, but she's adamant that if it was not on the list, whether I'm gonna get a fatal error later. Because I did email her and tell her, hey, it's still accepting our 230, even if it's not, on that list. She says it's not gonna count and you're not gonna get refunded for it. So I don't want to leave it there and then something happen and them say, we told you, so I had to remove all those 230s because it wasn't on the list. But again, the system is accepting it.
Kelly, that list of editable frameworks for planning program of study, I posted that link, and if you'll go down to the bottom of that page, it'll have the editable versions, and they open up in a zip file in Word documents. Kelly, if you're still in here.
I'm here. Not
Okay.
as much to plan. It's not for planning the programs of study like the courses and things or alignment. It's actually to plan the experiences that are happening in every single one of those programs of studies. So like having my health science coordinator sit down and plan out their full year of travel, experiences, when certification timelines are beginning and ending, just the full program of work that's occurring in every single one of our program of studies.
Have you seen that somewhere else?
No,
Okay.
my brain is the only place I see it. So it's something that I need from my coordinators and I'm creating from scratch, but I'm wondering if others do that already. I know in the ag world, it's more common to pre-plan out their program of work and submit that with an FFA. So they kind of have a standard, but it seems like that varies a lot from school to school. So I would love something that I require of my coordinators every year, where I see a big picture of every single program. I approve travel ahead of time and things like that.
That really is that's a great idea. And really, we could put together a health science crew and just work with the health science folks. And then, because what are the 33 different programs of study? How many are there, PT? Is that pretty accurate? Pretty close? There's a bunch, but maybe just kind of do them. And you're kind of talking about an enhanced year at a glance.
And it's not the curriculum side of it.
No,
it's really the all the extra experiences that occur kind of thing.
When do you get their insurance for clinical rotations? Just everything you can think of, I guess.
Yeah, being a new CTE director, I have wished that I would have that. As my ag team comes to me constantly needing to travel and go places. And I'm like, what are we even talking about? So if I could see a big picture plan, it would be awesome.
Yeah,
I have my teachers fill out like they have their own Google Calendar, and it goes to mine. And I know that's several teachers, but still they're in a different color than mine. And you can kind of see, all right, is there a person who's a guest speaker in this classroom, or if there's somebody traveling to go here or here and there. So it's just kind of an idea. You have a FFA banquet coming up tomorrow, or so you're not out of the loop yourself as well. So idea.
But that's a great idea, PT, and also it would give you the ability to help remind your teachers, hey, you have a area contest coming up this month and you haven't filled out a bus request, whatever that might be.
Yeah,
it'd be useful for that too.
I could see our CTE office could benefit from it. We haven't received a travel request for this and we're less than 3 weeks away and things like that. But for money, to know that I need to set aside this much into this budget for this type of thing. So, okay. Well, I'll create something and share, but if anyone has something, please share my way too.
Todd Gibson at Granbury put in there that he just looked on the IBC website, and the only links that don't have hyperlinks anymore are the Osha Surge. And they were also asking about the OSHA 30, what agency, and probably the Texas Engineering Extension Service that's located in Mesquite is probably the best place to get info for an outside agency. And then, Todd, could you tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing on the OSHA 30 website? Just the links aren't active anymore. Is that correct?
Sorry, it's not the OSHA website. It's the TEA industry-based certification resources website. Everything, you click on it, it goes to an information document that shows you the exam site, the price, candidate requirements, all the info that you could ever want and need. But for whatever reason, those 3 OSHA ones are no longer hyperlinked to a document like that. And I assume that they used to be. Matter of fact, I was looking at them this morning because somebody asked me about the 10 hours, so I went to look it up. But I've never noticed any of them not being hyper. It may have been like that for 5 years, for all I know.
I'm going to it right now, and you're saying on the one-page resource? Oh, yeah, they're gone completely.
The OSHA 10 was never on there, right? It was only the 30.
Just
Correct.
the 30,
I was
that's right.
just looking because
Right.
somebody had forwarded me an email about the OSHA 10, and I basically told them, if we're going to do OSHA, we might as well do OSHA 30, and
Right.
that way we can get something out of it.
Well,
But the 10 was not on the list previously.
Correct.
That's why we have these meetings. I mean, that's good stuff to be finding out. And I'm looking on the CO22 table, or the tweeds, and I'm going to look for see what vendors are in there now on the code tables.
How does a vendor get put on that list?
Well, they have to be approved through TEA, and you guys help me out. Doesn't TEA have full, well, no, that's program to study.
Career
They
Safe
get-
is supposed to be offering the OSHA 30, I think starting next year. But they're not on the approved vendor list, but it sure would be nice if they were.
Yeah, Mark, the approved vendor crosswalk link on TEA, at the top, it has notes of the certifications that are going to be retired. And it crosswalks the approved vendors for everything. So I suspect that's why the OSHA 30 links on the one pagers was removed, because they're not on this approved vendor crosswalk anymore.
Are you seeing that on the certification page?
Yes, sir. If you go to, the CTE page,
Right,
and
I'm
then
with
the
it,
the IBC page,
Right.
it's the third link down. It says IBC approved vendor crosswalk.
Mm-hmm. And then you're saying that, oh, and those are alphabetical. So you're saying that OSHA 30 is.
Mark, I just sent an email to Lacey, so I will, whatever her response is, I will forward it to you so everybody can find out.
Well, and I'm looking on that approved crosswalk, and it has 360 training, advanced online, summit training source. It does have some vendors on there, unless I'm misreading it.
No, it's showing those vendors on that one.
Yeah. So, I mean,
guess,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
just a comment, and we're not doing OSHA 30 here, but there is a link that has IBC retirement vendor changes and reimbursement. There's nothing on OSHA there, and they do, say the other changes. So if they are making changes, that should be updated on there. So
Yeah,
I really feel that if they're going to be very ticky-tacky, they need to be ticky-tacky everywhere. So I wish I had better advice, but there is a link that does say IBC retirement vendor changes and reimbursement. If that change for OSHA did happen, it should be on there.
Where do you see that link?
It's
There
right
is
below.
right below.
Right, but
Where it's the
that's just an
IBC
FAQ though.
FAQs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's just an
IBC
It's
FAQ.
not a listing of the vendors that are being retired or certifications. It's just an FAQ, how they're going to go through the process of retiring. But I would like to see a list that does show what is being pulled off.
Well, and that's what it was in reference to it, was because it does reference the change within the Adobe there at the bottom. So why suddenly just change the OSHA in the middle of the game? Because there was a process when you change the Adobe from the professional to the Adobe.
I would go back and question TEA about the OSHA being removed because as I understand it, removals were supposed to be forewarned and they were supposed to be put on the vendor crosswalk like the Adobe ones are listed. We're not doing OSHA 30 either. So in that sense, it doesn't affect us, but I do think it's important that, you know, we communicate with TEA about the process and about the communication beforehand, because we're going to be putting things in place based on the information that's pushed out from them. And this approved vendor crosswalk was updated last September. So if OSHA was going to come off of that, it should have reflected that on this crosswalk document.
And I'm looking at the table that has the certifications on it is the C214.
That vendor, the 230 is still on there. We looked at it also as part of our documentation to kind of fight our issue, because it's still there on PIMS.
Yeah, on the TSDS system, there's no change log that is going to be removed. Usually they do a change log and they update them. There's no change logs that they're removing the 230 anywhere. Not even for 22, 23. They're not showing any change logs to remove code 230, which is what we were using for the outreach. And so, yeah, I could leave them on there, but what happens, you know, they're going to come back and remove them themselves. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm going to try to reach out to Lacey Freeman in the morning. They're pretty good about calling back, and I'll see what the dealio is. Okay. That is not the best news, but at least we have working knowledge of what's going on. PT, did anything else come out of your leadership meetings with TEA?
A lot of it was that training for that, and it was just like a PowerPoint type thing. But let's see if I have the notes. I don't really have anything that was major that came out of it.
And Mark, I had a different question along
Yes,
the same
sir.
lines. This goes out to TEA. Do we know if they're going to be updating the program study documents? TEA has released, you know, several courses. One of them is medical billing and coding, and it's an approved course. It's not in the 21-22 CO22 table, but it is in the 22-23 CO22 table.
Right.
But it is not on a program of study document. And therefore, as of right now, it's not in a program of study, but you know it has to belong to the healthcare informatics. But it's also not on that tiered spreadsheet telling you what tier this is falling into. So we're hesitant to build it into a program of study, not knowing whether it's really going to be funded or not.
Those will be added, but usually they like to do those until the school year is completely over.
But they will add it. And the reason I'm asking, several of the other courses were on those program of study documents and they were labeled TBD, to be determined.
Right.
This one is not on any document whatsoever.
And what specific course were you asking about?
It's medical billing and coding.
Yeah, no, it's for sure not on there.
Yeah, it's not on there. And like I said, like Pharmacy 2, it's on there as a TBD and now it's an official course, and several courses, most of the courses, as a matter of fact. This one just didn't show up anywhere, and it makes me worry, because if TA doesn't, you know, document those in the proper areas, then we may go a year without funding for those courses once we start to plug them in. Or however long it takes for them to actually add them in and correct the oversight.
And Michael, I do know that they just added the health science, or they're adding a health science person to TEA. So
Okay.
that probably we're in the gaps, and you know, if it's not done by June, then there's some real worry, because like you said, you have a course that's approved that's not on any tiered funding list or on programs, on approved program of study list. You need to know what tier it is before you offer it to, I think.
Right, because it's not even on that list. Are we even going to receive the 1%?
Right.
So.
No, it's a great point. Robin, what day is TEA on Friday again this year? I mean, on the last day for conference?
Yes, they've got that slot as the during the closing general session.
And Michael, I'll be shocked, because that type of information has been on their summer slides every year for the past 2 or 3 years. Okay, anyone have any other points? Those are all good questions. I didn't know how much discussion, Robin, we'd have in May, but it's come out pretty good. Robin, do you want to talk about the TASPO training or anything?
Well, actually, I am curious. My counterpart at TCEA, the Texas Computer Educators Association, recommended that we partner together to do training. And so we haven't had a chance to visit yet. But if you had a blank slate for any training that CTAT could provide to tech apps, particularly, those teachers or teachers of computer science, what would you like to see us do?
A good general, I was just going to say a good general CTE 101, especially if they're in districts maybe that don't have a good, strong CTE presence, but those teachers go to TCEA just so they can understand some of the things and, the reasons why there was CTE now and with the cool kids.
And Sherry, I'm sure if we're doing a joint training, that'll be our side of it, and program study and funding the whole bit. But what would you like to see from their side? Any type of curriculum, or most of you are very familiar with TCEA. It's a shopping mall of stuff when you go there.
I know for Judson, our teachers have not been to training in these areas. And so they, we've done some research on curriculum and worked with advanced academics to see, working together in that way, having Zoom meetings with all our teachers across the district. But it would be nice to at least get some clear direction of some of the curriculum resources that are out there that are important for this area, and maybe having an industry partner. I don't know. We could use some direction there.
Excellent.
Or maybe some innovative ideas for the classroom itself, for the CTE person. So.
How about inviting some Oracle people if we're doing those certifications? I don't know.
Yeah, and I would agree. TCEA has been able to get the Adobe folks and the Microsoft folks to come to their vendor fair, so to speak. So if they could do some certification classes for our teachers, that would be amazing.
Mark and Robin, I'd like to see kind of what their program and what from a tech app standpoint, what they've been doing in previous years, because now that we've inherited them, we had lots of conversation about, it's coding week and it's, all these different things that we are not familiar with. So just more information about when is our code, or what type of initiatives that they are doing for those type of events, so that we can ensure that we incorporate that as well. So just a full scope of how their programs have been going and things that they've been doing previous to now.
Those are fantastic.
Yep. Yes, I took meticulous notes. Thank you, everybody. Wonderful.
What about, do any of you do AP computer science? What about if TCEA offered AP training? That may not even be possible. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Mark, one of the things I hear from districts a lot is they struggle to have a certified teacher for those. So if they had prep for passing that test, because, you know, we had hoped with that when they move things over on some of those course strands that they were going to add tech ed to them. And then TEA said, no, they weren't going to, because the tech apps had too much math in them. So they needed the other certification. But I have a lot of districts that are struggling to have teachers that are certified to do that. And it's not a quick test to just, you know, go and wing it. And so maybe prep for the teachers to be able to be successful on that.
That's a great point.
As here at United ISD, or our local, also our neighboring Laredo ISD, our local university, Texas A&M International University, is bringing down We Teach CS. And so we are covering several teachers, and we offered it to all our CTE teachers to get some preparation for the computer science certification. And so they'll be doing a module to prepare, and then they'll be doing a couple of days at the university, and then they're going to be attempting the test. They're going to challenge the test. So we are trying to push our teachers to have more certified teachers to do computer science, because it is an issue in our department. We don't have enough teachers to teach that. So, you know, maybe we can work with We Teach CS. That's what they do, and maybe look into that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, everyone has kind of forgot about that, Lisa, because we're in the don't ask, don't tell year. And
well,
so,
We Teach CS has been part of our conferences, and I think we've sent out, and I know it's impossible to catch all the emails that come your way. So please, I mean, I'm not trying to fault anybody for that. So we've sent some emails on their behalf about signing up for that course. Let me see if I can find their website and post it in the chat.
I just posted it on there on the chat.
thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
Claudia 1 and Claudia 2.
I'm actually using her link.
Fantastic. Anyone else?
So I have a question, not TCEA related, but Katie, in the chat, you asked about a scope and sequence for digital art and then that digital design. And you said they're halting those. What do you mean they're halting those? They're halting development? They're not going to use those classes anymore? Katie still here?
I think she meant that the way I read it was that they folded tech apps into CTE. That's what I thought she meant when she put that in the chat. Maybe not.
Oh, I think she's muted. Maybe, are you there? Oh. Yeah, we wanted to start digital design and media production next year in middle school as a replacement just for a generic tech apps. So just want to make sure that team members still going to exist.
Oh, Katie's microphones are, but Katie, if you can type in the chat, you're not saying those courses are going away. You're just saying that they went out of tech apps into CTE. Is that correct? Her headphones are broken. Oh no, she means something completely different. Can you see that in the chat, Sherry?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, this has been an active session. Anyone have any else? we certainly have all the time you need, but we want to respect your time and not take up too much more than an hour. So if you have something you would like to get in, make sure you do it now.
Mark, I'm going to ask one more question. Oh,
Sure.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hop over somebody.
That's okay. Okay, I had posted a question. I'm having some difficulty with our business office implementing some new rules about having to have a vendor packet for every hotel and every town that we go to. And so we've just run across, and they're telling me it's law, and I just haven't looked it up yet. I was just curious, anybody else? For example, state FFA convention. I mean, they have to get in and immediately try to get a hotel in the block. And the hotel they ended up in is not in our vendor list and we can't get a hold of them to get a vendor packet return. I was just wondering if anybody else has been dealing with that requirement or having difficulties.
I can answer, I guess, on my part. I do have that issue with our department, but that's only if I'm using federal funding or Perkins funding, not if I'm using my state funds. Only because the EDGAR requirements require lots of different policies. So we have to make sure that our hotels are, I guess, on the, what is that site called? I don't remember the name off the top of my head, on the gov site, sam.gov site or something like that. So if the hotel is not on there, I can't use them. So I do get that issue. So we try to find those ahead of time, get all our paperwork in order so that we tell the CTSOs, these are the hotels you can use, because that's how we're facing that issue. And it all comes down to the requirements of our federal funding.
Yeah. And see, it's been difficult. Like BPA Nationals apparently assigns chapters a hotel, and if you don't stay in the right hotel, they disqualify your kids. Right? This has just been so. But I don't believe we're using federal funds for that. They're making us do it regardless.
Then that's your district. Then that's your district policy. Yeah.
Okay.
You shouldn't be using federal funds to send students to content. Yeah.
No, for us, it was faculty. Like we send them to trainings or something like that, not students, but I'm just talking about the travel in general.
Yeah.
Right.
We use our state funds, so we don't have that issue. But when we're sending PD or something like that, the use of a hotel, specific hotels, certain requirements that we need when we're using Perkins.
Rachel, you guys have that same issue in New Braunfels?
Yes, we just have a really strict business office. No advice, Jennifer. I know your frustrations. I mean, I've had to have Booster Club pay for a hotel once just because, like at Houston, we had ended up with a hotel that wouldn't submit paperwork. So I think, were you the one that shared your travel Google form with us? So that's helped. And I'm just having teachers do it a lot earlier so that my admin assistant can get in touch with the hotel earlier. But for situations like you're talking about with BPA,
Yeah, and it's been, we've been doing okay, and they have a staff person in the business office who's been trying to help us. But and we've done some changes for FFA contests, CDEs, we've done some changes and things. But when we're talking state convention housing, they don't have options. They're like, well, you have to find another hotel. And I'm like, there is no other hotel when FFA comes to town. I mean, it's just huge. And so okay, so I'll keep working. I reached out to FFA to try to help get their housing, to try to help me with the hotel. I was just curious if anybody else had a business department that was interpreting rules that way. So at least we're not the only one. So we'll keep going. I appreciate the input.
That's pretty strict reading of the rules, Robin. But when we're talking to the TASBO folks, that's something that we can add to the content will be vendor rules, because it comes up all the time.
I already added it to our Google collaboration doc with them.
Yeah, I went ahead and turn my volume down. Maybe our administration wouldn't hear that someone else is doing that, because
PT, I was thinking the exact same thing. You might not want to ask that question because give them an idea.
I was gonna Oh, sorry, I was just gonna ask real quick. Has anybody done a JET grant before where you actually put in facility alterations? We want to write one for our automotive program. But basically we need to bring in equipment, but to do that, we also need to add in bay doors. So I just didn't know if anybody ran into that before.
Eichmann has, I know he's done some. Jeff.
Okay,
Yep. And I've done a JET grant, but I hadn't done the facilities part.
okay, I'll check with Jeff. Thanks.
You for sure ought to be able to get the cost of the doors.
That's what I'm hoping for.
I would think so.
I know it doesn't let you build new buildings or lease land, but it does let you, I know it specifically gave examples that you could, like if you had to add additional levels of power in order to run the equipment on. And so the opening to the space to allow the equipment in seems like it would fall under that same.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, fantastic. Anyone else? Well, I'm going, again, thank you for, I know it's the end of the year and you have plenty to be going on, but when you get on here, you're on here helping your fellow CTAT members and your fellow CTE leadership, and we appreciate your time and effort to do this. And also, Robin, we had a big influx of presentations come in the last week, and we'd like to tell everyone thank you for presenting at conference, because that's what makes the conference great. And if Greg Ship's still on here, I don't know if he is, but Greg was really commenting on the quality of the conference at Winter Conference in San Antonio. And the reason why the conference was so great is because we had such a great variety in presentations. And so when you get a chance to present, we want to hear the good things that are happening at your district. And most of all, you want to hear the good things that are happening at each other's districts. And that's really what makes it benefit. So thanks to all of you for stepping up and being willing to present at summer conference. Last call. Well, I'm going to stop the recording and thank you all for being here.